students. In the last class, we have learnt about healthy eating. Healthy eating is possible only with healthy cooking. Now, there are some food items which we can eat raw. Raw means uncooked. And there are some food items which has to be cooked before we can eat them. Now, today's question is, why the food should be cooked before we can eat? The reasons are, cooking kills the germs. Cooking makes the food soft and tasty. It helps the food easy to digest. That means it helps in proper digestion of the food. Now, here are some basic tips for healthy cooking. We should always wash raw fruits and vegetables before eating them so that the germs or the dust on them get washed off. Wash vegetables before chopping. This is very important. Note that we should always wash the vegetables before chopping or cutting them. Otherwise, it will wash off the water-soluble vitamins in them. Avoid overcooking of the food. That means every food has a very prescribed cooking time. We should not overcook any food because overcooking destroys the nutrients in the food. There are many ways of cooking the food like boiling, shallow frying, deep frying, baking, steaming, etc. But boiling and shallow frying are the healthy ways of cooking the food. Now, we all know that food is valuable. It should not be wasted or spoiled. Food has to be protected and preserved properly to avoid any wastage of it. Also, cooked food, it cannot be kept or preserved for a long time because they get easily spoiled due to germs and moistures present in them. Now, the method of preserving the food for a longer period of time without getting them spoiled is known as food preservation. These are the advantages of food preservation. Food preservation prevents food from getting spoiled. It adds variety to the food. It makes food stay fresh and taste better. It makes the availability of food in all seasons. Now, we will go through the basic methods of food preservation. The first method is refrigeration. We all know that germs grow well in warm and moist places. But a refrigerator is a cold place and germs do not grow in dry and cold places. So, if you want to store any food items for a few days, we can put them in a refrigerator or a fridge. Example, vegetables, fruits, cooked food. They can be stored in a refrigerator for a few days. Second method is deep freezing. If you want to preserve our food items for several months, we will go for this method of deep freezing. Deep freezer is a very cold place, and so when you keep the food items in a deep freezer, the water present in the food turns into ice and the germs, they cannot grow there properly, and our food, they can be preserved for a longer period of time. Meat, fish, some vegetables like peas and carrots, they can be preserved by the method of deep freezing. Third is drying. Drying is one of the oldest method of food preservation. They are especially followed by our grandmothers and our mothers for a long period of time. In this method of drying, the food is dehydrated. Dehydrated means the water content is removed by it and by making them sun-dried. So, we can define drying as the process of dehydrating food to remove the moisture content from it. Chilies, grapes, dal, vegetables, wheat, they can be stored for a longer period of time by the method of drying. The fourth method of food preservation is using preservatives. Preservatives are basically some substances which are added in the food items to preserve them for longer time without getting them spoiled. There are two types of preservatives, natural preservatives and chemical preservatives. Sugar, salt, oil, they are the natural preservatives, and vinegar, acetic acid, citric acid, they are the chemical preservatives. Salt and Salt and oil, they are used in pickles. Sugar, they are mainly used in jams, jellies and squash. Salt is also used to preserve fish. Then the next method is canning and bottling. Canning and bottling are the methods of food preservation which are used to preserve food in cans and bottles by keeping them free of air. In this process, food is heated in cans to kill the germs, then the air is driven out of the container, and then the food items are properly sealed to preserve them for many months. Jams, pickles, squash, vegetables, they are preserved by this method for many months. The last process of food preservation is boiling. Boiling also kills germs. So milk, vegetable curries, they can be boiled and kept for a few hours without getting spoiled. Now, students, refrigeration, deep freezing, drying, preservatives, use of preservatives, canning or bottling, boiling, these are the basic methods of food preservation. Now, let's have some examples to understand this method of food preservation in a very detailed way. Now, see, mango. Mango is a fruit. So, we can preserve or store mango by different ways for our convenience. For if we want to keep this mango in a refrigerator, we can preserve them only for a few days. We can also preserve mango by the process of drying. How? We can make mango papad, which is called the amras in Hindi. Also, we can cut some mango pieces and then sun dry them, and we can keep them for several months to 1 year. We also can make mango pickles, mango jams or squash from mango, and we can preserve them for years. Similarly, fish. Fish is also a common food item. It can be preserved by the method of deep freezing, drying, canning and salting. Before concluding these things, let's children look at here. Here I have kept some food items on this plate. I will show you one by one how the food items are preserved and by which method. For example, these are grapes. Grapes are available mainly now in summer season. But if you want to store these grapes for a longer period of time, then we can sun dry them and see here. These are the resins or kismis, which we call them in Hindi. So we can sun dry, or by using the process of drying, we can make resins and we can store them in our homes for several months. These are the mango pieces, which I have told you a little ago. These are the mango pieces. I have cut the mango into pieces and I have sun dried them. So the moisture content is totally removed from here. It is totally dehydrated, and I can keep these mango pieces for several months to 1 year in a airtight container. Similar is this potato. These are the potato chips. These are also sun dried properly and they are kept in airtight containers, and we can even use as a chips or papad. These are the red chilies. Actually, these red chilies are the sun dried ones, and we can keep these red chilies in our airtight containers and we can use them whenever we need to use them. Now, this is a jam. This jam is preserved by the method of canning and bottling technique, and also some preservatives are also used in jams so that it can be kept for a longer duration of time. So children, I hope you have already understand the method of food preservation, and basically in this chapter we have learned about healthy eating, healthy cooking and also the method of food preservation. And from this we can conclude that healthy eating is necessary for a healthy living. So thank you children and have a nice day.